Hi, my name is Aleksander Kaminski. In this video, I'm going to be showcasing my coursework 2 for Advanced Interactive Media Development, and I'm going to be showcasing the full interactivity and the implementation. So to start off with showcasing the interactivity, so if I start the project and press start, as we can see, there are no NPCs, and that is because the NPC is set to spawn when the timer reaches 90 seconds. So as we can see, it reaches 90 seconds and the actual NPC spawns in, and we can see walking towards the counter. So, sorry. So as we can see, if we take a look, the order timer is going down. However, if we click on we can click on the dialog, and as we can see, it will start the dialog with the NPC. So if we click it a few times, can I get you a burger? Would you like anything else? No, that's all. Coming right up, and that's the end of the dialog. So if we actually click order, the order timer stops, and now we have the deliver time. And as we can see, if we look on our tablet, we can see the cook timer is counting down. So if we look here, yep, the burger has spawned in. We pick it up, and now here's gonna be one of two different outcomes. So if we press deliver order, as we can see, the eat timer is going down, and once it reaches 0, we can press the take payment, which the NPC will do a little dance, and as we can see, we gained one happy customer and we gained one tip. The tip can be randomized, a random value. So if we start it again, and my apologies, yeah, okay. So if we click order now, and now we want to wait for the deliver timer to go over 30 seconds, it will basically have a different outcome. There are two outcomes. There is the happy outcome and there's the unhappy outcome. And the unhappy outcome is basically the amount of happy customers that you have will go up by 1 and you will not get any tips at all. So 30, let's just wait to like 31, okay, and now we're gonna pick up the burger and deliver order. So this just goes as follows: eat timer, we want to wait till that reaches 0. Okay, now it's pay timer, and if we click take payment, we can see the animation is different. It's sort of like disappointed. The customer's crossing his hands, and as we can see, the amount of unhappy customers has gone up by 1. Okay, so now to go into the implementation, we're gonna start off with the tablet. So the first one is the timer. So we use the timer variable. It is set to 100 seconds, and basically it starts as soon as we click the start button. Basically, that's when the game starts, and then we multiply it. And one thing that we actually do is set it inside a different variable called timer countdown, and that's because we want to reuse that variable later to actually spawn in Remy. But once we set that variable, we then want to actually set the text, so the number on the tablet actually goes down and we can see it. So if we go to spawn Remy, it's an on update event, but before anything can happen, we first have to check two things. First one, we need to make sure that the timer countdown, which is the variable we set previously, is less or equal to 90. This is one criteria to check that Remy can actually spawn in. And the second one is we have a Remy spawned boolean, and that is basically this checks to if he's already in the scene or not. And this is basically if Remy spawned bool is equals false, then that is part of the criteria. and that is basically there to make sure that an infinite amount of Remys don't spawn into the level. So then we use the add node to make sure that this criteria and this criteria is met, and we plug it into the if statement. So if that is true, if both of these are true, game object instantiate, this will make sure that Remy actually spawns in, and we set up the position where Remy will spawn is an empty game object called NPC spawn point. And basically the only adjustment that's been made is where it is placed, as well as its rotation to make sure that it's actually facing towards the Leo shop stand. So we get its position, we get its rotation, and we attach those two things to the game instantiate. And then we set the variable to true, basically, to confirm that yes, Remy has spawned in. So button, that's from an older version, so we can ignore this. Okay, so the order bool. So on update order bool, so this is related to, if we check, yeah, this is for quick timer and stuff. So basically this checks that if we click the order button on the NPC's canvas, it will actually activate the cook timer. So then we actually move on to the cook timer. It's an on-update event. We again use the cook timer bool, and if it is true, we set the variable to onCooked, which is this number here, which is basically the amount of burgers we have. And yeah, we basically subtract that number because the variable's number onCooked is 10. So we basically subtract it by 1. And we then set the cook timer bool to false, and then we start the timer. So as we can see, this timer, if we click on it, this will make it so that the cook timer actually goes down. So it takes 10 seconds. Once it reaches 0, we move on to spawn burger, which is, as we can see, we want to check that it is less or equal to 0. And if that is true, we then, similar to the NPC component instantiate, the only difference is it's a component. And we basically spawn it also at the empty game object, which is the burger position kitchen, where we picked it up, and it is we want to get a position and the rotation. We then make sure to set the cook burger bool to false, so that the timer stops and nothing happens. And then we want to make sure that the amount of cooked burgers that we have goes up by 1. Once we have that, this is just a simple update text to make sure that all the values displayed are correct, to give the player information. And then we have 3 other things. First one is just the update happiness. So this is going to be exploded in the NPC script machine, but this is basically on the tablet, so that we get the variable happiness, which contains the number of happy customers, and we want to make sure that it updates the text on the tablet, and the same goes for the unhappiness, which is basically unhappy customers. And this is the same as well with the tip. So when it randomly generates the tip, it stores that tip in the variable, and we make sure to display it. Okay, so that's for the tablet. Now I actually want to quickly go to the burger script machine. So in this, we just have a simple canvas camera, and this is the burger select. So when we click on the button, it updates the variable on board, so that it goes up by 1, as we can see on board, +1. And then we want to destroy the object from the scene, so it's not there, and this is just for testing. But yeah, so if we go to Remy now, so Remy actually has two script machines. So Remy itself, as in the character, and his canvas. So we will quickly go over his script machine. And the first thing is the set animation at the start. So this is basically to enable the walking animation that he does when he goes towards the shop. So we want to set this to true, so he actually uses it. Now this is the logic for him moving from his spawn point to the desired destination, which is also an empty game object. So on update, if true, and then we have criteria basically. So the first criteria is we get the distance of the game object NPC destination, which is the empty game object that the NPC want to reach. Oh, my apologies. And then we get the actual NPC itself destination. We plug those two into vector 3 distance to compare both of them. And then we make sure that that distance is greater than 0.1, so it actually knows to stop a little bit before the actual destination, so that there isn't a case where it will just continue walking or something breaks. So basically, that if that is true, we then use a vector 3 move towards. So we want that NPC to move towards that destination. So we just reuse the previous transform get position this and the transform get position from the variable NPC destination, and we plug those inside vector 3 move towards. As we can see, max distance delta, that is basically to have to set the speed at which the NPC walks. So we have a float of 2, and we use get delta time since that is for frames per second. We multiply those and we set this as our movement speed. If the statement is actually false, what we also want to do is we want to turn off Remy's walking animation, so that he doesn't just even when he reaches his destination, he doesn't just constantly keeps walking in place, right? And at the end set position, so when he reaches the destination, we want to set that destination's transform as the current position basically. So if we quickly go over to the animator, as we can see, we have any state and we have an idle loop. So this is if we go into animations, this is just idle standing. He doesn't do anything there, but the logic when he walks is basically we have this. We are using a is walking boolean. So from any state to Remy walk, if that is true, it will initiate the walking animation, and when he stops, we want to make sure that it's false and he returns back to the idle state. Okay, so if we now move on to the canvas logic, so this is for cameras, so this is just to make that canvas actually visible. And the first logic here is the order. So when we press the button order, so this one here, we want to set the variable audible to true, and then on start event we want to actually start the time. So sorry, my apologies. So on start event, it will start the timer, and if we click a button order, then it actually pauses the timer. And the duration of that timer is the order timer variable, which if we look through here, the timer variable, that is object variable, so that is 60 seconds. And we use the elapsed percentage for the countdown. We multiply those two, and we then set up the text to show sorry, it's not the countdown, it's count up, to basically display the actual number going up on the NPC canvas. Delivery wait timer, so that is similar to previous one with a bit of adjustment. So if we click the button order, it will start that timer, and if we click the button deliver order, it will stop it. So basically, when the NPC spawns in, it will play this timer here, order timer. Unless we click the order button, it will stop that timer and it will start the new timer, which is deliver timer. And in here is basically, once we click the deliver order, it will stop the deliver timer, basically. And it's pretty similar here as well with the duration and everything. In here, one difference that we can notice is we set the variable deliver timer countdown, which has its uses basically down below. Okay, so going down to deliver any timer, so if we click the deliver order button, we want to set up the variable on board, because that is used in the tablet as we saw previously, which is basically it updates the amount of burgers that we have cooked, because as we can see, what we do is we actually subtract, which is we want to remove the amount of cooked burgers that we have. And the burger position table, so we basically instantiate that burger that we gave it to the customer. So this one actually spawns in on the table. I will show this after the explanation. So this burger actually spawns in on the table, and along with this, it's basically an empty game object. We get its position, get rotation, and then we instantiate. Then we want to start a timer, which is the timer value. So it will take like we previously saw, it went from 100 to 0 quite quickly, and that is basically during that time the actual NPC is eating that burger. We can't really do anything, and we then want to make sure that that timer basically reached either less or equal to 1, and if that is true, it is then pay timer bool, which is if I quickly show this, it keeps going up basically, and during that time you can basically press the button take payment. See, so we set the variable pay timer bool to true, and if that is actually true, we start another timer, which is this one. And then once we click the button take payment, which is supposed to emulate us taking the payment from the customer for the burger, we set the variable pay timer bool, so it actually stops and attach it to the timer, so it stops the timer. And for the duration, we use the pay timer variable, which is set to 10. And like previously set up, it is a pretty similar setup to previous timers. So this is the happiness logic basically. So we want to check that if the button take payment has been clicked. So if the button take payment has been clicked, we want to check that deliver timer countdown is less or equal to 30. So this is basically this deliver timer 0 on the prefab. So we want to make sure that this is actually less or equal to 30. And if that is true, we set the variable happiness, which we increment by 1. And then we use a random range, which is between 1 and 11. And we do basically that random range plus the tip. So this will, so tip is basically set the 0 at the beginning, and this will basically generate a random number and give it to that variable, which is then displayed on the tablet. So as we can see, add those two, and then we set the variable as the new tip. So that's going to be the new tip. And then we actually set animate as a bool, so we actually want to play the is happy animation, right? So this is a bit of feedback showcasing that the customer got the burger in time, didn't have to wait too long, and because of that, it's a bit of an over exaggerated dance, you could say. By the stay here is pretty similar to other ones, like I previously showed. The only difference is that it doesn't go back to idle because after that the NPC disappears basically. But yeah, we want to make sure we use bool, and we want to make sure that this happy is true, which we check here, right? Set bool, the name of the parameter is happy, and we want to make sure that this value is true, and if that is true, it will play the animation. And once it plays this animation, after a few seconds, well, the float, which is the time, so after those like 3 seconds, we destroy the object. We basically remove the diner. The unhappy and destroy logic, so this is basically similar to happiness. When we press the button, take payment, the only difference is that we check that if the delivered timer countdown is greater or equal to 31, we set the variable unhappiness to 1, right, and we play a different animation, which is angry. So right, name of the parameter is angry, value bool is true, so spelling mistake, so this will be true, right? Let me quickly adjust that. And then after 3 seconds we destroy the character. And this is the dialogue counter, so like I showed at the beginning, so when we were clicking the dialogue button, that was imitating basically the conversation between you and the diner. So we actually use a dialogue list, which is a list of string. We get the variable dialogue list, which is this. It gets all the values. We attach it to the list get item, and we use the the dialogue counter, which is basically it keeps track of which dialogue line it is at, and also updates the value of the counter, right? So we attached it to set text dialogue value. So text dialogue value is this. This is where the dialogue is displayed between the character and the NPC. And then we set a different text, which is the counter value, which is this one. So we know which sort of dialogue we are at. And then at the end, we actually want to set variable dialogue counter because we want to update it. As we can see, dialogue counter plus 1, because then it updates here the counter and the dialogue list of string, basically updates them. And I think that is everything. But yeah, this is basically how the project is set up. And thank you very much for watching.